Well, it's that time of year in the baseball season to hand out midseason report cards. The Cubs are officially halfway through the season, having just played our 81st game, and it's been a crazy, unpredictable season so far for the Cubbies. Now, some of these grades are going to make Cubs fans happy, some are probably going to piss you off, and one player is getting an F that I don't think anyone can argue with. And I can tell you, some of these players should dread having to bring home their midterm report card this year.
No television for a week. What?
We are so serious, guys.
You're fucking high! This is a fucking prison! I'm playing bullshit! In the galaxy of this sucks camel dicks!
Cade Horton and Matthew Boyd are receiving incomplete grades right now. I know Boyd just came back and pitched pretty decent against the Mets, but he's been out most of the season so far. And I'm also not going to grade each bullpen pitcher individually. Christ, they've had like 46 different pitchers in there so far, so they'll just get a collective grade. Let's start off in the outfield with Ian Happ. Happ has had some extra pop this year, and he may get his first 30 home run season. However, he has been striking out more than he has before. Now, Happ is still getting on base, which is good. His defense, as usual, is solid. But, and you'll be hearing this one a lot, his ability to do anything with runners in scoring position has been abysmal. Grade C. In center field is Pete Crow-Armstrong. A bit of a slow start to the season for PCA. Many were wondering if last year's second half PCA is just who he's going to be. But he's turned it around in a big way. He's taken walks. He's been more selective at the plate. His defense is elite. And in a shocking turn of events, he's a Cub who's actually been productive with runners on. Grade A-. Now I'm going to include Seiya Suzuki right now as the right fielder. His defense has been pretty decent actually when he's out there. Other than that, I really don't have much positive to say about this guy. I've said for a few years now that Suzuki is overrated. He's about the last guy I want up in a clutch situation. He hit a grand slam against the Rockies earlier this year. That's about it, folks. The majority of his numbers come during garbage time. It's been that way since day one with the Cubs. He is statistically the worst Cubs player with runners in scoring position this year. Dansby Swanson has surpassed him in this category after he went off against the Mets. Yet Craig Counsell still has his clown smack dab in the middle of the lineup every day. I can't wait to say see ya to Seiya real soon. Grade D. Going into the infield, let's start at third base and Alex Bregman. What the fuck has this bum actually done as a Cub? Seriously. What moment has Bregman had this season? None that I can think of. I have seen him ground out a lot. He's choked pretty much during every opportunity to drive someone in. And yet again, Counsell keeps this guy in the middle of the lineup. His defense has been fine, but just going off the eye test, Matt Shaw played a lot better defense at third base last year than Bregman has this year. Look, I'm a Cubs fan. I want Bregman to get his shit together. But the guy who was in Houston and Boston hasn't shown up in Chicago. I know it's early in his Cubs career, but this is shaping up to be the worst free agent signing in Cubs history. And that's saying something. So with his contract, his track record, and the expectations, I'm grading him pretty harshly. Alex Bregman during his Cubs tenure so far has been the replacement in wins above replacement. Grade F. That's an F as in failure. F as in figure it out, fuckstick. Now we're on to Dansby at shortstop. I'm glad he's appeared to get out of his offensive funk over the past week, but that doesn't negate the previous 3 months. Folks, he's been historically bad offensively this year. He doesn't need to be A-Rod with his bat. A normal Dansby season at the bottom of the lineup is a valuable player. Hopefully Counsell doesn't do something stupid and start putting Dansby at cleanup. Then again, he's probably a better option than Suzuki or Bregman at this point. The only thing keeping Dansby from getting an F grade is his defense is still elite. And with the pitching staff not having a ton of swing and miss stuff, that does make him valuable for this team. Grade D-. Oh, Nico. It's been devastating to see our second baseman fall off a cliff. Let's not forget, Nico Hoerner was playing at an MVP level during the first month of the season. Then he got tagged in the head, which may have caused some neck issue, and he hasn't been the same since. Is that the cause of it? I don't know. Is it the fact that Cubs coaches have been wanting Nico to pull the ball for more power? Maybe. If so, that shit hasn't worked, and it needs to stop. The good news is that Hoerner has been going back to what made him the guy who signed an extension at the beginning of the season. He's been going to right field a lot more lately and finding openings in the defense. Nico's glove has still been great this year, and he'll always play hard. But the last 2 months of offense from him has not been good. He's someone that you just expected to be clutch and make something happen with runners on. It just hasn't been there for a while. Grade C-. At first base is Michael Busch. He got off to a horrible start and then got hot in May. June hasn't been great for Bush, hasn't been awful either, but he's one of the few reliable players with runners in scoring position. And he has improved against lefties this year. His defense has been solid. Hopefully he gets hot again and starts getting some more home runs because he's been lacking in that department during the first half. He's due to go on a power surge. Grade C-. At catcher, I'm going to include Carson Kelly and Miguel Amaya to get graded. First off, Kelly has been so valuable to this team, both this season and last year. The pitchers rave about how he calls a game, and he's turned into someone that you want up during big moments. His power isn't what it was last season, but he has still been clutch quite often this year. Grade B. Miguel Amaya has at least been healthy this year, but his offensive production has left a lot to be desired. I think Cubs fans were hoping if Amaya were healthy, this would be a big breakout season for him. It hasn't happened yet. He's the backup, and he's a solid backup catcher, but I'm beginning to wonder if he's their future everyday catcher. Grade D. Now for this makeshift bullpen. Right off the bat, Phil Maton has been an F, but let's look at the bullpen unit as a whole. Like the starters, I really think every pitcher in the pen has been injured at some point or another. Oh, the Cubs called me at some point to put me on a roster and eat some innings. I was asleep or something and missed that call. But it's been an inconsistent ride so far with this group. You have a few guys that get hot and reliable, then they shit the bed. It's a tough grade to give just due to the injuries and the revolving door aspect of this group. But other than a few flashes of dominance, this bullpen has been shaky at best. And I'm not seeing any versions of the 2025 Brad Keller or Drew Pomeranz coming out of this pen. Grade D+. Last but not least, it's time to grade the starting pitchers. Let's start with the one guy who hasn't been hurt this year, Shota Imanaga. Now, Shota has either been great or awful this season. 9 starts with 2 earned runs or less. The other 7 starts, he gave up 4 or more runs. But he has been healthy. He's also been the definition of inconsistent. Grade C+. Colin Reyes once again had to step up and basically become someone who was just in the rotation. That wasn't the plan last year, and it wasn't the plan this year. I love the fact that he goes out there and does whatever's needed. He hasn't been as effective this year, but I'm glad he's on this team. Grade C. Edward Cabrera is once again on the IL. This time it's because he felt the need to do the splits while catching a ball at first base. He'll be out for a couple months at least. I really can't say I lost any sleep over that development. He's been a bust. This bum hasn't struck out batters like he has during his time with the Marlins. He walks people. He gives up hits. He just hasn't been good. And I wasn't too thrilled with him claiming to have a hand cramp during a previous start. This guy just doesn't seem to have the mental fortitude to be counted on during big games. He seems pretty flaky, really. But as far as the start of his Cubs career, it's been forgettable. Grade D. Jameson Taillon hasn't been too great this year. And of course, he's a Cubs pitcher, so that means he has a stint on the IL. He's had a few decent outings, but for the most part, he's been so-so or just bad in his starts. And I like JMO, and he's going to have to come back and be the pretty reliable pitcher he has been in the past. But this season so far, he has had more downs than ups. Grade D+. Finally, there's Ben Brown, our current ace out of nowhere. And surprise, surprise, he just landed on the IL with the neck strain, and it sounds like he'll be out for several weeks now. Fantastic. He had a bit of a rough start to the year, but something clicked and he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball. He was put into the rotation out of necessity and has become a dominant pitcher. He needs to come back healthy and pick up where he left off. This team in rotation needs him to be what he's been this year. Grade A. As for the Cubs' grade overall, it's a bit tricky. Now, if someone had told me back in March the Cubs would be 44-37 despite losing basically their entire pitching staff, I'd have signed up for that immediately. And I know every team deals with injuries, but I don't recall a team, especially a Cubs team, that has had to go through this with their pitching staff. It's at least one guy getting hurt seemingly every week. This is a team that looked like World Series champs for a long stretch, and then turned around immediately and became the worst team in baseball for a stretch. And yes, the decimation of the pitching doesn't help matters, but even with all of that, the Cubs had several chances to win several more games if not for the ineptitude of this offense. But the final 10 games or so before hitting the halfway point, it does look like they're turning that around, and they're going to have to, and keep it turned around. Now, with the expectations placed on his team, battling for a wild card spot wasn't in the cards. It was more like, how many games will they be up in the division? Well, as we know, a lot has happened. But with everything they've dealt with, the Cubs are 7 games over 500. Not bad considering. So I'm going to give a higher grade than maybe is deserved, and the Cubs halfway through the 2026 season get a B-. I'm sure you agree 100% with these grades, but in the off chance you might actually have arguments against these, leave your report card in the comments.
The Bears are who we thought they were. And that's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
And the Chicago Cubs win the World Series.
He gone!